Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Insurance Journal's Academy of Insurance's weekly webinar after show. I'm your host, George, and joining me for the after show are two of the most well-dressed people in the insurance education business. One of my panelists is the director of the Academy of Insurance, Mr. Patrick Rate, sartorially splendored in a Academy polo as usual. And I'll tell you where you can get one at the end of our conversation. And in the middle here, we've got our very special guest and today's instructor. Today's class was Challenges in Agency Mergers, Reducing Staff Flight, and Avoiding E&O Claims. And our instructor is none other than Nancy Germond. Nancy, welcome to the after show. It's fantastic to see you and great to have you here.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've got a bunch of questions. I've been the beneficiary and the victim of merger type of situations and acquisitions. So your class, I just was riveted to it. I mean, I couldn't stop. Like, yeah, I remember that, or no, I didn't, or whatever. So it was all sort of real world, things that I could relate to. So thank you so much in advance for any answers you can give us to any questions I have. And Patrick.
Okay. Well,
So
shoot.
you mentioned that merger and acquisition activity in the insurance industry heated up after COVID. So there was a lull in COVID, and then M&A kind of has been heating up and hasn't really stopped heating up since then. When does this activity usually heat up? Is it like some kind of an economic downturn, and then after that, merger and acquisition heats up in the insurance industry, or are there any kind of like common denominators or delimiters that points to here's when it heats up, or is it sort of random and just happened to heat up after COVID?
I'm not really sure, but here's what I know is that private equity is looking more and more to buy, especially niche agencies that, specialize. And if they're cash rich, they're going to be buying. They're going to look at well-managed agencies with high organic growth. I don't know what the cycles might impact, but the way rates are going, right, with commissions, going the same, keeping pace with the higher premiums, I would say a lot of it is tied to the market and just the fact that we are in a hard market and rates are going up and profitability, hopefully, with more technology. I mean, we just are starting to see these huge layoffs of what's 40,000 at Amazon. I mean, what is happening is that, and we're seeing it in the insurance industry, is that they're hedging the organizations are hedging their bets that AI can do things that people don't need to do anymore. And so I just think there's so many factors societally right now. And I think AI is one of the ones that, okay, we're going to get more lean, and that's all part of it. So as far as cycles go, I can't really tell you other than that, what I'm seeing.
Got it. You mentioned factors that attract like private equity companies to look at purchasing insurance agencies, insurance companies, insurance agencies that are interested in purchasing other insurance agencies. You mentioned some factors like the book of business. Is it good or not? How strong is it? How large is it? You mentioned values, like a synergy of values that could exist between two companies. If it's an acquisition, do values really matter? And does the book of business, or ultimately, does the book of business kind of thing win the day, or are companies really that scrupulous and are looking to see how great of a fit it is on all different kinds of levels?
Well, that's a loaded question because I would have to offer an opinion on whether organizations are scrupulous. I think that it's really about profitability. When it comes down to making a merger or making an offer, or making an acquisition, it all comes down to, do the numbers align? Not do the stars align, but do the numbers align? And I think that's a mistake, because if you're looking at losing 40%, as we said, of your bench strength once you acquire that agency, and you're thinking, well, maybe our technology will help, maybe our pay structure is better than the acquired agency, you really have to just look at you have to look at the stars and how they're aligning. But as far as when private equity acquires, I think they have a different mindset, and it's all about profitability. They're not going to make they're not going to make an offer on an agency that they feel will ultimately not be profitable.
I'm hoping this isn't a loaded question, and if you aren't sure of the answer, you can let me know. So you talked about a book that dealt with buying agencies, things like that, and you talked about things or factors that made an agency attractive to another company to merge them with them or acquire them. Do you ever talk to or encounter agencies that don't want to be acquired at all? Like they're like, no way, we don't want to be acquired. And are there any pro tips or tricks that an agency might do to stay non-acquirable and under the radar, like keeping it at a certain size or there's no sort of like hard fast rule about that?
I don't think there is. I think all you can do is when they call, say, we're not going to be acquired, so don't call back, very politely. I mean, one of my friends has a 2 outlet agency, very successful here in the West Valley, and a wonderful person. Does more charity work in the community than almost any agent I've ever known. And I can't see him being acquired because he's got family to perpetuate it, right? I think that I know on Facebook, because I talk about being an agent and talk about insurance issues, I get every day, do you want to sell your agency? So they're doing broad, salvos looking. But if you're not acquirable, the best thing you can do is not waste your time talking to people. If you have kids that can come in, you have cousins or nieces and nephews who can acquire. A lot of agents I can't imagine my father ever having sold the agency. It just boggles my mind because he had my brother to lean on. But I think that's a lot of it. Many of these kids today are not like really thrilled to go into insurance in general. They don't understand, that we get to travel and learn, and salaries are pretty darn good. We have not, I've been talking, as I've been talking about brain drain for what, 12 years? And we're certainly seeing it. And what have we done to make ourselves more attractive? And what I talked about too in the webinar is that societally, people are very mad at big organizations, and they see insurance as a monolith, right? And kids today want more of a social justice, how can I help my community type of job? And we are really trying to sell the benefits of insurance as a help profession. So
Nancy, I'll talk about this more at the end, but I alluded to the fact the Academy has a gift shop now. And I'm wondering, I didn't run this by Patrick, but I'm just going to spontaneously ask you, would you be willing to be photographed in a sort of parody of Norma Ray with a bullhorn and with the caption, "We aren't going to be acquired today. Don't call us back"? Like,
I would love it.
Can we sell that shirt? Would that be?
Oh, you could. Oh, yeah.
All right.
I would love it. That would be great.
We'll figure it out. See, Patrick, you heard it first. We're expanding the catalog.
First.
We don't need no stinking acquisitions.
Oh, wow. On that note, Patrick Rate, speaking of not needing no stinking acquisitions, what do you think of the heightened M&A activity in general, and what did you think of Nancy's class in particular?
So I am, let me say it this way. I am cautious about any kind of M&A activity. I feel like, and this is not supported by any data other than watching and observing insurance people. But when I look at agencies that are acquired many times or merged with other agents, my sense of it is that either the agency principal did not anticipate the need for agency perpetuation, didn't think they were going to end up getting old one day and not want to do this, or their initial agency perpetuation plans fell apart on them. They were going to hand it off to a son, a daughter, a team, and they just and it didn't work out that way. And so Nancy, do you see a lot of agents who are selling off to other agencies or other, maybe even private equity, simply because the perpetuation idea suddenly showed up in their life?
Yes, and I think also it's sometimes the agency owner gets ill and doesn't have a perpetuation plan, and the wife or the spouse or the kids, they're like, hands off. I don't want it. I'll sell it to the highest bidder. So yeah, I think and that's something I didn't touch on in the webinar, which I probably need to add, is to have a perpetuation plan. And a consultant that can kind of guide you in putting together, okay, what's my perpetuation plan? I know that there's several experts that I actually put in my slide deck and on the last reference page, that's what they do, is help agents decide, what are we going to do here? I mean, I wish my parents had done something different. I talk about that with you, Patrick, often, is the way my family's agency went. And my brother was lifetime military and was constantly going off to the reserves. He was a lieutenant commander, I believe, in his retirement. And, and so the perpetuation was very rocky. And my dad came back, as I recall, 3 times out of retirement. And you don't want that. You just don't want that. Have you picked the right successor? Do they have the communication skills that you need to do this business? Because you've got to be a lot left brain, but you've got to have some right brain too. You've got to be able to talk to people and keep your clients once the acquisition happens.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between I think about sometimes the perpetuation plan is, maybe I'll choose my star producer or somebody like that and sell off to them. But there's a whole different skill set between being an excellent insurance producer and being an excellent agency owner. I mean, that the gaps in those things, it's like anything else in business, right? People, I think the old adage is, people will get promoted to the level of their incompetency. So, I mean,
right.
People do a good job at one thing, and somebody thinks, well, because you do that well, you ought to be able to manage, you ought to be able to do, and maybe you can't.
Right.
And so that's kind of in the way I see these things. And I also, you mentioned you losing bench strength when there's a merger or an acquisition. Oftentimes some of that, I think, is people get very uncomfortable when there's change, right? And as many times as somebody will say, nothing will change, people in the back of their mind, smart people at least, are going, that's impossible, because this person is not you. And that team coming into our office is not us. And there's no way it doesn't change. And so maybe the fear of the unknown of the new entity is less than the fear of the unknown, or the opportunity to go, hey, I could just bounce over here to a different agency or change careers altogether.
Well, too, I think there's very seasoned producers in agencies waiting in the wings, assuming that they'll get to buy the agency. And I would caution you that when private equity comes in with a lot of money and a cash offer, you may not think about those key producers, that maybe you've made well, we're going to let you buy the business on down the road. Boy, that can be a contract, and you can be, you can have problems. But I think that if those key producers and kind of thought, well, I expected to buy this agency, and now it's going to private equity, and I'm going to be at one of the big brokerages, they're going to be mad, and you're going to lose those producers. So you have to kind of think about that. And I would caution you as a producer, if you have expectations that you're going to get an ownership stake in the company, you need to discuss it. One of my good friends here who in the 2000 market crash, I think it was '08 market crash, he went from commercial real estate to being an insurance agent. And he worked for a guy and approached him early on and said, am I going to get any ownership here? And the agency owner here in Glendale kept dodging the question. He went out on his own, just went out, and he's been very successful. He's a wonderful guy.
Yeah.
But have that discussion.
For sure. And those are the kinds of things that can cause you automatically to lose somebody who's a stellar performer and a valid perpetuation plan.
Exactly.
Nancy, you had a quote that you read that you did not attribute to anybody, but I don't know if you're just not doing it because you don't want to expose the person that said it, but culture eats strength for lunch.
Well, there's a couple people that they attribute it to, and nobody knows for sure, but I truly think it's one of the greatest quotes about organizational culture that is out there. And I talked about this 3 strategies for doing the merger, adopt the dominant culture, respect the current culture, etc. I think the bigger the entity buying, the smaller the entity, the more that you're going to end up adopting the dominant culture. And that's where you're going to lose it. You're going to lose bench strength, in my opinion, because I know, just from my experience, the relationship I've had with my bosses throughout the years in the industry. And as I said, I think this is 43 with a year off with good behavior, but I truly think that it's all about my relationship with my direct report. And I think that's critical. And when that changes, everything changes for the employee. So there's that to consider as well. But I think the most important thing is to be truthful and say, look, we're going to try and keep if you're selling, tell your employees, we're going to try and keep everything as similar as possible. But there will be some changes. We will work through them. We'll do a group hug afterwards. And that's the best you can do. But don't say nothing will change, because it will change. Don't make promises that, they'll come back and say, but you said.
Right. Nancy, thanks.
Hey, my pleasure.
What
anytime.
An action-packed, knowledge-laden insight into the ever-changing world of mergers and acquisitions, especially as related to the insurance industry. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, and I always look at things from the big picture. I look at it from strategy and culture, and I think things that I'm not as much of a left brain person as I am right brained. And of course, my training in sociology teaches me to look at people and look at, historical trends. And so I do try and bring a little different spin to things.
Sure, absolutely. Patrick, the Academy of Insurance's website has a slightly new look at the moment. If people go to IJAcademy.com and they click the resources drop down, they will see a drop down related to instructors, books, of which Nancy Germond has a book for sale through the Academy site, a gift shop where one can order a polo like you're wearing, and our new line of radicalized insurance fashions that Nancy Germond is going to be one of our models for. And also Big I Discount is one of those resources. And if you click Big I Discount, people listening, you'll come to a landing page that talks about, especially if you're a Big I member agency, a discount you can get joining the Academy through the Big I. And Nancy, can you, being the director of education for the Big I, can you give a plug to the Big I and tell us what you're all about?
Well, yeah, I was so excited to try to put this together with Patrick and George, because our agencies, a lot of our training that we do at the Big I is 3 hours long, right? And our attention span is 2 minutes? And your 1 hour targeted trainings, I felt for our insureds, or I'm sorry, our clients is absolutely spot on. So an agent can sit watch it later if they can't watch it live, and can look at the different specialties that you have. So what we did is made an arrangement with the academy to give a significant discount to to our Big I members throughout the United States. And so what you need to do if you're considering possibly becoming a academy aficionado, which I have been for many years, is to reach out to your state independent insurance agent association's ed director, the education director, and they will have the details. And if they don't have the details, it's not because we didn't furnish them, it's because they just haven't gotten to it yet. So they'll reach out to George and we will get things going. So if you value these 1 hour very targeted types of trainings, I think the IJA is the place to go.
Wow, Patrick, how about that?
A rousing endorsement there.
Absolutely, Nancy. I couldn't have put it better myself. That's why you're Nancy Germond and I'm hosting the after show. So you're our exalted guest, Nancy Germond. Nancy, thank you so much for a fantastic class today. Really appreciate it. Patrick, thanks for coming to the after show. It's I know you have lots of things to do, and so your attendance is perfunctory and never mandatory, and always a joy to see you here.
It's always one of the best things we do.
On behalf of our director, Patrick Raitt, and our instructor and the director of education for the Big I, Nancy Germond, this is your host, George, saying thanks everybody for coming to the after show. Join the Academy today. Click resources and find out how you can do it through the Big I discount we have. And we will see you next time. Have a great day, everybody.